This is Passion City Church, located in Atlanta, Georgia. There are two other locations that were just launched. There's one in DC and one in Cumberland. And this is a presentation on Passion City Church as an affinity space. So this is a photo of our church on the left-hand side. It's actually an old warehouse converted and totally transformed into a really awesome space. So one portal into the affinity space would be walking straight through the door, or you can actually access and stream our messages online. And in the bottom right corner here, this is our pastor, Louis, and he is our lead pastor. However, he is humble and does not take his status in the church for granted. We are a Jesus-loving church, and anyone who loves or wants to know more about Jesus is welcome in this affinity space, which leads me to the next point. We are not perfect, but Jesus is. Come as you are. Technology is leveraged in this affinity space in so many ways. We have an incredible sound team, production team, and light team that all draw on technology to create an engaging and wonderful space to worship in. And here you can see our lights and worship team using technology to do so. And they create some pretty awesome messages. And again, we've got lights, music, and a production team behind all of this. Our production team and designers create wonderful visual aids for us to reference during service. And we just recently did an entire series for the new year called A Trip Around the Sun, which is where these images come from. And the technology used to create these images that are actually screenshots from videos that were used during our service is phenomenal. These images were quick references during note-taking and helped create a mental picture of what we were learning. And we learn more and more every day about Jesus and the gospel or the good news, and this same learning can be used in the classroom. The right visual aids and technology can really help our students, especially visual learners, grasp subjects and stay engaged throughout the lesson. So intensive knowledge for this affinity space would be dependent upon where you were interested in serving. For example, our pastor has an intensive knowledge of the Bible, whereas our design team has an intensive knowledge of design, and our worship team has an intensive knowledge of music. However, extensive knowledge would be knowing or wanting to know who Jesus is and knowing how to serve others. Knowledge is dispersed from our expert pastor, and it's filtered down to us through messages. Everyone can participate in the space. Participation can range from being a visitor at our house for the first time to becoming a door holder. And a door holder is one who serves others with a relentless commitment to lead people to Jesus. So the space also serves as a hangout space for middle and high school students on Sunday night before 5, and it also hosts a series of events that the church designs. And like I mentioned earlier, like I mentioned door holders earlier, one way to gain status is by becoming a door holder rather than becoming a member of the church like most other churches. We become door holders. And once again, a door holder is someone who serves others with a relentless commitment to lead people to Jesus. So door holders open up doors and create opportunities for people to come and to know Jesus. These are some images from the US conference that was held to celebrate and honor door holders. This is an image of what we call the Grove Swap, which is a time where we gather items of clothing, shoes, accessories, handbags, and all things fashion for weeks, and then we invite women of the church, their friends, and women in the city. Basically, all ladies are invited to come and take what they need. Our design team creates a beautiful atmosphere, and women of the city get to create community while participating in the event. There are different levels of leadership in our house. Aside from our pastors, worship team, and production team, we also have a resource team. This is a place where anyone can go to ask questions and get their hands on great resources that are birthed straight out of our house. And as I mentioned earlier, our design team is phenomenal and always transforms the space. This is something to consider doing in classrooms as well, as students have to ensure that students have the best learning space possible. We also have a team that serves in Bloom, which is a place for infants and small children to hang out while their parents are in service. And then we have Passion Kids, which is where older kids go. College nights are hosted for college age kids to get together, and community groups are established in and around Georgia where people meet and talk about the gospel and the good news of Jesus. This affinity space would not be possible without the hard work and dedication from everyone who plays a role and shares an affinity for Jesus.